Nhexus, level 5 upgrade. For today I'm going to go ahead and put bearings inside of the axle carriers because what's in there right now is bushings, which is just basically a round piece of metal. With these, they will allow the tire to spin much easier, but I'll explain that when I get to that part. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and remove the two rear tires. I'm going to go ahead and do this with the rear left tire first. So I'm going to remove the 4mm nut that holds the tire onto the RC. Once that is off, I'm going to go ahead, pull the tire off, and you'll see, let me zoom in real quick, that there is a bar on there. That just slides off to the side. Pull that out, set it in a safe spot, and then there's a washer as well. Next, I'm going to go ahead and remove the pin that holds the axle carrier to the rear A-arm. Now that I unscrewed the pin, I'll just pull that out, set it to the side, and this whole part will come up. Now I'm going to undo the screw that holds the rear upper link to the top of the axle carrier. With that screw removed, I can now push the drive shaft pin out from the axle carrier, and this is what I'm going to be replacing. Now it's time for an interesting note. As you can see, this is the axle carrier for my Bandit XL5. That metal ring that's located on each side is a bushing. Now I want to replace it with this bearing, but you can easily see that that bearing is too big for this axle carrier. However, the axle carrier for the Slash, Stampede, and Rustler XL5 two-wheel drive is much different from the XL5 Bandit's axle carrier. You can see that the bushing is much bigger, and if I take it out, I can easily fit the bearing in there. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to replace this axle carrier for this one so I can use these bearings. As for the difference between a bushing and a bearing, well, for a bushing you can see it's just a solid piece of metal. The pin for the drive shaft rotates within it. You can see that this will cause a lot of friction and a lot of strain for the motor. With a bearing, this inner ring rotates freely due to little metallic balls that are located between the inner ring and the outer ring. So it's much easier for the pin to roll around. And you can see that that pretty much eliminates all friction. That is why bearings are so much better than bushings. So I'm going to start off with the new axle carriers by putting a bearing in each side. And they just slide right in. You don't have to do anything more than that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and slide the drive pin right through the axle carrier, and I'm going to reattach the upper rear link to the top of the axle carrier. Now I can go ahead and line up the holes on the axle carrier with the rear A-arm and slide the pin back in and screw it all the way down. Now that that's all back together, I'm going to get that washer from earlier, slide it back on, get that small little bar, slide it through the hole that's located on the pin for the drive shaft. Make sure that's even on each side, and then I'm going to slide it down so that bar slides into that little slot. Now I'm going to reattach the 4mm nut that holds the tire on. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing for the other side. With the other side done, this upgrade is complete. You only have to do this with the XL5 Bandit. With the VXL Bandit, it already has a bearing, so you don't have to worry. But this will make it much easier for the motor, and it won't strain it, and it will give it a longer lifespan. As for speed, it's not really going to give it a huge boost, but it will make it much easier for the motor to work. And that was a level 5 upgrade for Nhexus.